GM, we are live with the second ever edition of Best Vault by Candlelight. Lutz, GM, to you. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. And I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to hop into BBM. We'll see what happens. So, Lutz, thanks so much for coming out this evening. I know this is a lot later than I normally come on. I've got a weird streaming setup. My second monitor is actually a television here at a remote location. So I'm just doing my best, but didn't want to completely disappear on you all this week. We are too close. We are too close to the start of the season to not be doing this. So yes, little late night draft action. Yes, trying to sneak in one of these famous late night rooms where you can get some ADP value, but we'll see if it actually happens. Here, I actually didn't tweet out my the stream, but we'll see. But yeah, all right. So we're off and running, and we got the 11 hole. I don't think I recognize anybody in here, but of course, if you are in here, please, as always, identify yourself, and let's see if we can't come up with a good one. There's a couple of exposures I'd love to fix. I'm very light on BTJ. I would like to get a little more of him, so he might be who I take at 11 if he's there, but I'm not going to pass up on some, falling value if that's an option. I think we're going to see Puka continue to slide. I think we're going to see Neighbors flip him pretty soon, and possibly even Nico. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, that's related to the Matt Stafford FUD that we're getting. I'll get my exposures rolling. It says through 85 BBMs. I've done 91 at this point. I think this is BBM number 92, but we're off and running. I can get the board going. Let me get lo-fi going. I don't know why my headphones have stopped working, so I can't actually hear, which is really not the most fun when you're trying to stream. But let's see. No, I don't think my headphones are doing anything. No, they're purely decorative at this point. Anyway, let me know if the audio sounds okay. As I said yesterday, I don't have my boom mic with me, so I have the microphone on top of literally a candle here. So it's we're working against some of the elements here, but we're gonna continue to just do our best. So yeah, interesting change of pace here now. In this year's BBM, it's not uncommon to see this. We've got 4 running backs through 6 rounds. That was somewhat unheard of last year when the meta really was about the early wide receivers. Hey Tyler, howdy Chad. Thanks so much for popping over for this little late night operation we're going. So I said before I wanted some BTJ. That is not in the cards today, which is unfortunate. Puka is sliding. Puka's definitely sliding here, but he goes. So we'll just go by ADP. We'll get Malik Neighbors. Never too upset to get that. I would love Neighbors Genty. That's kind of a fun week 17 instant stack, but I will not pass on Amon-Ra if he's there. Probably just queue these 3 in this order with Amon-Ra and then Ashton Genty. Let's see what Andy the Timid does here. So he takes Amon-Ra, so we'll do it. We'll take the Genty pick there, and we will start with Genty Neighbors. A little bit of ADP value on these two, I guess, at this point, getting Neighbors at 9, Genty at 14, although I can't say that this is too rare of a start. This is something you could definitely get pretty frequently earlier in BBM. All right, Lutz says the audio sounds fine. Awesome. Yeah, I know it's a little bit of my ASMR side hustle voice here, but I have to keep it down because if I wake up my 2-year-old, it's over. It is all over. So I'm trying to keep it down. So had I gotten a big faller there on Amon-Ra, I couldn't have just erupted into pure exuberance like maybe I'd hoped. But you know what? I'm happy with this. This is a game that I like. Obviously, I have to address the elephant in the room, which is Cam Scadabo's hamstring injury. The Tracy victory laps have been just absolutely wild all over Twitter. Tracy Nation is dunking all over my family. I really feel like I actually had to flee the country because of that. But you know what? We'll see what happens in week 17. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Loot says, I was definitely going to say it does sound like you're trying not to wake the family. Yeah. Yeah. I promise if I stream late night at my normal place, I can talk normally. This is not like me trying to put on some late night vibes. Like, you feel free to message with, questions about your love life. I can answer them. I feel like that's kind of the vibe we're giving off here, but we'll see. I will happy to give relationship advice if that's what if that's what people want at 10:41 p.m. Looking over at the board, the only truly odd thing is Omarion Hampton there, pick 24. I mean, my God, this I can't say I even hate it, because if you want to have Jamar Chase and Omarion Hampton, well, you got to take Omarion Hampton at the 2-3 turn. So I don't mind that. I mean, that's not going to be super owned. The only issue is there probably are some Hampton teams at 48, but maybe that combination really wasn't done super heavily. I think Hampton has moved up, but maybe he was not commonly going at 48. I don't think so. I think that's fine if that's what you want to do, but it is just jarring to see him, kind of rocketing up the draft board. Let's pull what we've got up. This can be kind of an ugly spot if you don't get one of the elite quarterbacks here. Jaden Daniels, I might take myself a Jaden Daniels share, although I do like JSN and Mike Evans quite a bit. Yeah, if I take Daniels, there's a pretty good chance I can get I can pair him with McLaurin, but I'm gonna take a Mike Evans share here. George Kittle, another guy who has moved up quite a bit. I was a little nervous about the lack of smelling salts. He really seemed quite, perturbed when it sounded like those were getting banned, but I don't think they're actually getting banned. It seems like that was some fake news, or maybe George Kittle didn't understand what was told to him. But I think smelling salts are actually okay, so we don't have to worry about Kittle's declining production because he can't get his smelling salts. Although I really do like Worthy. Another quarterback I'm way too low on is Mahomes. Yesterday I got a Worthy share. I think I had the 10 hole. I tried to push Worthy around the turn, and I didn't get him. So if I get Worthy, pick 83, I'm going to pencil in Mahomes there, because I do want to get a little more Mahomes in my life. 59, potential to get an RJ Harvey. He's been a bit of a faller. The unofficial depth chart that came out had him as the running back 5, which is wild, and just kind of goes to show you what nonsense some of these unofficial depth charts are. It seems like the people who create them are more towards the social media side of the teams than the ball-knowing side of teams. I cannot imagine he is actually the 5th running back there, but you know what? That's what they put out, and I think that's going to scare some people. Loot says, I hear Evans having some uncharacteristic drops in camp lately. Not sure if that means anything at all. I would feel like with a guy like Evans, that would be a bit of a nothing burger. So I'm not really inclined to worry too much about that. I have heard that Nick Buka is having a really strong camp, but I don't think, I really don't see any production coming away from Evans there. But you know what? You never know. I mean, the black marble season comes for us all, and it could definitely come sooner than later for Mike Evans. I mean, we could look back on that, week 18 game against the Panthers, where, the Panthers essentially allowed Mike Evans to get an additional 2 yards so that he could pass 1,000. We could view that as the sort of Mike Evans swan song, and that wouldn't be, too shocking. It does, however, seem like he's still, pencil him in for an 1,000-yard season. He's an absolute touchdown magnet. I still like Mike Evans until proven otherwise. But yeah, I mean, it happens to all these elite receivers one day, and it will happen for him eventually. Looking over at the the quarterback situation, really nice fall on Hurts there at 51. I feel like you don't see him in the 5th as often as you used to, but there he goes to the dynasty there. Joe Burrow, the one hole did not muck around, did not attempt to push him, which makes sense. I mean, it's very unlikely to get past the Higgins drafter, and he had no way to know that the Higgins drafter would take Jalen Hurts there. Maybe this Hurts pick was in response to Burrow going there and then realizing that their main, the quarterback they were hoping for was not going to be on the board. I'll queue up RJ Harvey, although I don't think I would take him ahead of Jalen Waddle. Apparently, Tyreek Hill is being held out with some mystery injury. Seems not great, but let's take in a vacuum, I think I prefer Kamara and Connor, but if I'm going to pencil in the Mahomes pick, I'll go for the Week 17 tiebreak. I don't like going crazy with Week 17 stuff, but I really do like RJ Harvey. I mentioned this last night. I like him a lot in BBM, where his where people got in shares of Harvey at a significantly worse price than I'm getting him here. And you know what? Let's take a Kamara share. I really think Kamara is going to be the engine of this Saints offense. I don't think we're all super excited about the Saints, but they could be a team that kind of comes on late. And we've seen Kamara in bad game scripts just become a complete PPR scam. So I don't mind Kamara even if the team kind of is not that good. Hey, Steve Schaup, GM to you. Thanks so much for coming in to our little late night stream. I know there's a lot of people out there streaming now, and a lot of really good content creators who stream in the evening, and I usually have my own lane in the morning, so I do appreciate you coming and hanging out with me, even if it's not at the usual time. I'm normally on at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, so coming on at 10:45 p.m. is a little bit different from me, but I did not want to not stream this week. In the mornings, I think I can do Friday. I will not be able to do a morning stream tomorrow, but I think I'm on for Friday, so we'll see. We'll see. Oh, Steve, just wrapped up Jeopardy. It was a good one. So for those of you who don't know, Fanspeak Network, which Steve is a major part of, does Best Ball Jeopardy. They have had a absolute who's who of best ball content creators and personalities and ball knowers on that show. It is always a really entertaining show. So I will, Steve, I will have to catch that one on replay. I always queue up the shows that I can't catch live, and that is a high priority one, because it is always good listening, and you all really work hard on that show. So I really appreciate that, the effort you've all put into that. All right, let's see what's going on. Ibuka, again, this one hole is kind of the steamy central here with Hampton and Ibuka, two guys that have risen quite a bit from when the contest opened. I almost think you could probably lump Matthew Golden into that category. He seems like he's risen from probably the late 80s all the way up to the early 70s, so that's quite a rise. I'm really high on Matthew Golden. I'm happy with my position on him. He sounds like he's having a really great training camp. And again, the Packers never take first round wide receivers. So when they finally do, we should take that somewhat seriously here. All right. So for me, Mahomes will be the pick. If there was some compelling, huge faller, now obviously someone could take Mahomes ahead of me. I don't think it's worth taking any of these guys ahead of Mahomes on the off chance that Andy the Timid takes him unstacked, because people do tend to do that. I'm just trying to think through my next pick. Josh Downs would be fine. Michael Pittman wouldn't be bad. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing out on any really obvious selection, but let's take Mahomes here. So we lock up the Mahomes-worthy stack. Definitely happy to get that. We're going to let Joe Mixon slide by us. Hawkinson would be fine. I have a ton of Hawkinson. I tend to like Pittman over Downs, but I think I would not really IKB this. I'll take a Josh Downs share at 11. Jones and Mason, I mean, their ADPs are rapidly converging on one another. But we'll get a Josh Downs share on this team. So for the audio listeners, we've got a 1-3-4-0 going with Mahomes at quarterback, Genty, Harvey, and Kamara at running back, Neighbors, Mike Evans, Worthy, Josh Downs at receiver, and no tight end quite yet. But happy with the team so far. Glad we were able to get Mahomes, the Mahomes-Worthy stack, because yesterday, again, we had a similar start and couldn't pull that off. Who Hames, sub fam. Hey, if you all don't sub to Who Hames, you should absolutely get out there and do it. Who Hames, thanks so much for coming in on this late on this Wednesday night, well past my normal bedtime, well past my normal stream, and where I have to keep it down and sound a little quieter than usual. But hopefully we draft some good teams, and hopefully we have fun hanging out tonight. Last night, of course, I was in a draft with Who Hames in a Husky, which I had no idea was being streamed, I think, on 2 channels. I think Candyman was streaming, as was BBG. And so that draft was streamed in 3 locations, so you could get it in truly surround sound if you wanted all angles of it. I haven't gone back and watched either of their renditions of the stream. I would be curious to see what they thought. I do remember BBG took a lot of the slappy rookie hits. Who Hames got corn popped. I think, yeah, corn pop. He was an absolute menace in the streets, taking unstacked quarterbacks. Who Hames had a fantastic Texans stack going, and Corn Pops just decided that CJ Stroud as an unstacked QB3 ahead of ADP was the play here. Just looking at seeing if anyone's doing anything weird. This Trout guy, he started with 4 receivers, and then he went 3 running backs and a tight end. So I wasn't sure if this guy had just taken a ton of running backs, but he hadn't. He was a reformed piss boy who started with 4 and then took some other positions. Really surprised to see Scatabo at 98. Thought he was going to fall. I think in a lot of rooms he is falling. I heard somebody got him at 139 today. I am extremely jealous of whoever was able to get that. I still like Scatabo. I still think late in the season he's going to be a guy you want. I think if the game script goes south on the Giants, he could be a PPR scam. Great pass catching back. So I think he's going to be kind of game script proof when he's fully up to speed. I think he's going to be the goal line back, and I think he's going to be a pass catching kind of, definitely can do the 2-minute stuff. So I don't know. I'm definitely, wish he didn't have this hamstring injury, but I'm not going to panic and send him to the shadow realm like I've heard him going. But you know what? In this room, he did not. So let's see what's coming back to us. Michael Pittman almost made it all the way back around. I don't think there's any reason to take another quarterback. I believe Baker went already. And then, of course, we have really not great options with the Giants or the Colts. A little bit of uncertainty there. So might be a little sketchy kind of backstacking this particular team. Bo Nix goes, so we can't even create some kind of Nix Harvey, getting too cute for our own good. Evan Ingram, I think, would make a lot of sense on this team to go with Harvey. And for this, if I'm really going to build out the Week 17 situation, I think he makes a lot of sense. And then let's think of our next pick. I'm just going to add a couple of running backs. Tajay Spears. So, very interesting. Wide receiver dried up. Running back dried up very quickly. We'll take Evan Ingram, though. I think that pick is pretty obvious. And then the question is where to go from there. Trey Harris, he's going to continue falling with the Keenan Allen signing and just kind of bad vibes to begin with. I could potentially just take Justin Fields. I almost feel like I might just do something like that here. I could take an unstacked Kyler, but I'm a little less excited about that. I think we'll do that. Let's take Fields, and then, if we have to take a late round, A-Rich or Dart / Wilson, we could look into doing that. But I think, to me, that that makes some sense there. Justin Fields sounds like the camp reports haven't been fantastic, but that's, you know what, beat reporters watching, counting interceptions and seeing how the offense is running, you don't really know what the team's trying to do. You don't know if they're telling him to throw into coverage. You don't know, what they're like working on. So just to like say, oh, they're throwing X interceptions or only completed, whatever percentage of their passes, I don't know if that's truly actionable. I mean, obviously it doesn't sound great, but I'm not ready to panic on Justin Fields just yet. And getting him at 110 is pretty nice. He's was going around pick 100 for most of this contest. So again, I have a ton of Fields with Garrett Wilson, so I don't mind getting them independent of each other in a few contests there. A lot of quarterbacks going off in this range. We had 6 out of 12 picks in round 10 be quarterbacks, and that's something I think a lot of people do. Is this is a pretty comfy range for taking a quarterback. It does feel like some of the position players are a little sketchy, and so it is nice to like have someone you're pretty sure is going to be hitting your lineup and providing you value versus Tajay Spears, who we like, but if he has the role he had last year and Pollard stays healthy, it's he's fine, but you're not like feeling amazing. The dynasty, however, will not stop taking wide receivers. My God. So he only took 2 receivers through 5, and then he since then has done nothing else but draft 5 more wide receivers. So just hammering that mid-tier of receiver there. Very interesting to see that. But we're kind of in that dead zone of receiver. Trey Harris, again, he keeps falling. Christian Kirk, I would absolutely have taken there. Marvin Mims wouldn't be the worst. I know I have Mahomes, but I'm really not very excited about Hollywood Brown. I think I would rather have Mims. Ray Davis, I think we're going to see Ray Davis rising the longer the Cook holdout continues. So Davis to me would be the pick. Of course, Davis goes right there. Oh, kind of an ugly range. But I guess part of me wants to just keep building out this Denver bet that we have. I mean, we've got Harvey and Ingram. We've got everything but Nicks, and I don't hate that. Marvin Mims, he's going to be a low snap share guy, but definitely could get there by way of efficiency. Now the question is, what the heck else do we do? I've really backed off of taking Byshell Tootin shares. Have a ton of him in early stuff, but Dylan Sampson's fine, but I don't know. I think Tootin represents a little more of a kind of upside swing at running back there. It does sound like right now he is purely like a change of pacey kind of guy, and it is going to be Bigsby is the bell cow, Etienne more of a passing down guy, and then Tootin mixing in. But you know what? I'm gonna hope the team that new regime that picked this guy out are going to employ him. So we'll see what happens. I know I already have too much Tootin, but you know what? That's not a reason for me to take guys I'm not very excited about. Dirty P says, "Sup, Steve." Oh, I missed your first message, Dirty P. Chad's whispering gives us overnight 900 vibes. You're gonna declaze that band, Chad. Yeah, Dirty P. I was saying that this. We also will give dating and relationship advice with this After Dark show. No one's taken me up on that, weirdly enough. You'd think that everyone would be asking the guy streaming best ball drafts at 11 p.m. How to handle that portion of their lives, but apparently not. Yeah, yes, Steve, I agree. I'm telling you, if I do these when I'm at home, I will be in my normal room and can use a normal, slightly louder voice here. Who Hames asked, did I pick the music to set the mood? Who Hames, I'm gonna let you behind the curtain here. There's nothing actually coming in on my headphones. I don't actually know what's playing. I think I know which song is playing, and it's not the normal feeding the ducks. And so I did think this one gave a little more of a a late night stream kind of vibe, but it could really be playing anything at this point. But at this point, I've got the headphones on and I have like nowhere to put them down, and the cord is too long. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Let's see if anyone's doing anything too out of the ordinary here. Did someone finally take Trey Harris? They did at 138. All right, let's see. It's time to maybe start thinking about who our second or third quarterback would be. A-Rich might make sense on this team, being that we do have Josh Downs. Although part of me feels a little bit like if I knew I was taking A-Rich, I'd rather have Pittman. I really feel like Pittman is a better pairing with Downs. But let's see. Let's see what comes around to us. I do like QJ. I'm not really worried about him, like, his lunch getting eaten by Allen. I see a request for night driving. Dirty P, I'll switch it to night driving after my pick. Let me just make these picks, and I will do that. Bryce Young wouldn't be the worst pick. If I could do Bryce Young and really get that, wouldn't be too bad. I was going to say DeMario Douglas is pretty nice. So, interesting question. Does this guy has Tet McMillan. You know what? We're going to ruin this guy's day. We're going to be that guy, and we're going to take Bryce Young here. I'm sorry. There's nothing personal, Andy the mid, but I'm doing that. This guy's going to take Leggett out of spite, though, because we're all petty people here. Let's see if he does, though. If he doesn't take Leggett, we'll take. If he takes Leggett, we'll take QJ. I feel kind of bad because I probably would have been just as happy with Cam Ward, but honestly, I take unstacked Cam Ward probably more than I should. So we'll do a little late back stacking here. We'll get Xavier Leggett on the team. We'll get night driving going. So let me know. We've switched the music. There, and we've got a 3-4-6-1. We've got Mahomes, Fields, and Bryce Young. We've got Genty, Harvey, Kamara, and Byshell Tootin. A wide receiver room of Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Xavier Worthy, Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, and Xavier Leggett, and then Evan Ingram at tight end. I don't actually mind this team that much. I think this is going to be a 3-6-6-3 team. I do think. I probably could stop at 5 running backs, being that I do have Genty, Harvey, and Kamara. But there are some really exciting running backs on this that we could potentially get. Some of these rookies, we've got Rico Dowdle's not a rookie, but he would fit well on this team. But like Krosky Merritt, Taj Brooks, I think those picks would be nice. Rashard Smith would make a lot of sense probably on this team with Mahomes. So there's definitely some running backs I think I would rather take at the turn and then kind of let the chips fall what they may with my with a couple late tight end darts. I've got Ingram, so I don't think I have enough tight end firepower to stop at 2. Tight end's also the position that's gets injured most frequently, so I do like having 3 tight ends. I know that's a little disfavored, but I do like having that going. All right, Who Hames asked, Steve, did you see the Drake May stuff today? Steve did not, and Who Hames says he was torching the Commanders' joint practice. Steve did see that. Basically, every wide receiver crushed the Commanders. Well, you know what? This just sounds bullish for Jaden Daniels. Lots of Pop Douglas. That's Who Hames. Yeah, Who Hames. I would have taken Pop Douglas over that mini, back stack there. Like if the Young Leggett stack is hitting my lineup and my like Mahomes worthy stack is not, like this team might be in some trouble. This team might be in a little bit of trouble there, but we'll see. You know what? We got to get through bye weeks, and I do think Bryce Young has some sneaky upside to him there. All right, let's look at what's coming around to us. Rico Dowdle, pretty nice. There's some nice receivers coming by, but I think with this wide receiver room, we're really going to stop at 6 there. And yeah, let's queue up Dowdle and Brashard Smith. Brashard Smith certainly a little bit of a risky click. the camp reports have varied from like this guy's Jerick McKinnon to like this guy may be on the roster. So I don't really necessarily know what to believe at this point, but we do have a Mahomes team, and I think he makes a ton of sense to sort of round out the team. We'll add Rico Dowdle in. I like him with Bryce Young. So we've got a little bit of a late Carolina bet coming together, but I quite like that. If Mason Taylor was healthy, I would probably love to add him to turn naked Fields into a stacked Fields, but alas. So we'll take Brashard Smith, and now we can just queue up a series of tight ends. Do I want Mason Taylor at all? That is a tough question. I'm just going to add him to the queue. I don't have a ton of Arroyo. Tavion Sanders, I probably should move ahead of everybody. Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson, Pat Fry. Sure. I just want to make sure I have some guys in here. And of course, my late guilty pleasure, if everybody is gone, Michael Mayer on the team. Bindle says, light the candles. Hey, Bindles, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out on this Wednesday night. It is 11:06 p.m. I really appreciate you all coming in and supporting the channel. If you can, please like and subscribe. It helps out a lot, and it helps when I return to my normal morning time. I retreat from these late night hours. Dirty P says, grab a fan and share. Dirty P. I don't know, man. I feel like I don't love the fan and bet. I have a ton of him in the big board. Not that means anything to you because this is a different contest, but I don't know. It feels so thin. It feels so thin compared to some of these other late tight ends who actually like are going to be starting from week 1 to get the like. We hope that reports are he's lining up everywhere. Read the new coach speak. I'm mixing Fannin in. Oh, I am easily swayed by peer pressure, guys. So I'll put Fannin into the queue here. I'll pull the board up so you guys can see who is going late in these drafts. Kind of tight end city: Waller, Arroyo, Gesicki, Cade Otton. That makes sense. Isaac Tesla at 191. That's early, but it sounds like he's getting some good coach speak. Dirty P says saying he's going to be a year 1 impact player. Oh God, I do sub to Coach Speak Index. I just haven't had a chance to thumb through all of them today. So, well, he might be part of this team. Because I mean, I'm almost down to I have a little more than 50 left of these. So. I'm happy to get a few shares of some exciting guys like that. I really felt like he was going to be more of a long-term prospect. And if something happens to Njoku, he also is duck-footed. Apparently, I know that's a big point of discussion on the ship chasing community is the duck feet. If nothing else, Fannin's upside is more than anyone else's left. I think I agree with you, Huhames. I weirdly enough actually think Michael Mayer has more upside if something happens to Brock Bowers, but that's like kind of a pet project of mine. But you know what? Let's see. Mason Taylor, Juwan Johnson. I'm gonna do Juwan Johnson because I do have Kamara, so I'll take another little piece, hoping that maybe things in New Orleans are better, and then I'll queue up Fannin. Here. We unfortunately did not get Jatavion Sanders, which would have been nice. We'll take Harold Fannin Jr. I hope you guys aren't just laughing because you got me to take him, but we end up with a 3-6-6-3. We've got Mahomes, Fields, and Bryce Young, so solid quarterback room. We got Genty, Harvey, Kamara, Tootin, Dowdle, Brashard Smith. I don't mind this running back room. And then Neighbors, Evans, Worthy, Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, Xavier Legette. So I think we got some high upside guys in this wide receiver room. And then Ingram, Juwan Johnson, and Harold Fannin. I think this team is fine. I don't think we got any kind of like giga value. I'm not going to like rush out to post this team on Twitter, but I think it's a competitive team, and hopefully it gets through. And with that, let's do another. I probably have time for one more BBM, and then I will be winding down here. So I am going to count this down from 5 seconds, and hopefully if you all want to get in, you can. So I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off, and we are waiting for 9. So if you want to hop in, hop on in, and you know what, we'll have a race to see who can take Harold Fannin Jr. Who Ames asked if Steve saw anything about Dallas trying to make a call to trade for a running back, and Steve saw there was a fake rumor by Scott Barrett. Yeah, Steve, I saw that tweet too, that they were like, making calls about a running back, and then I didn't see anything after that. But I don't know. I've been playing that running back room through Miles Sanders and the occasional Jaden Blue, and the Miles Sanders stuff is feeling a little sketchy. I know he'd been out with what seemed like a minor injury, but I don't know. I hope that's not. There was one camp report that said he was just like mixing in, but I don't know if that was actually a real report or that was just like a beat writer who, didn't know what was going on. It's very difficult to kind of assess some of these camp reports and separate the signal from the noise. And I've definitely had some trouble with the Dallas backfield. Huham says it would be fantastic if Mixon is traded there. Man, that would I wouldn't hate that at all, because I have a lot of Mixon that I really don't want to turn into zero. And then we think Woody Marks would probably be pretty valuable here. Steve says same. Sanders and a little Blue. Do you think they could add a vet, but probably not a star? Yeah, it does feel like they could definitely be a camp cut. Sign. I mean, I'm telling you, my fear the whole offseason was that it was going to be Etienne gets cut and then gets signed in Dallas, and then it's like, oh no, like I have no Etienne. I'm gonna lose. I mean, I'm probably gonna lose anyway, but another reason number 356 why I'm gonna lose. Huham says at 140 to 50, Blue feels like a good pick, but 125 it felt odd. Yeah, felt bad. I agree there. And Dirty Piece becoming Phil Maffa curious. Phil Maffa, big boy. It's big boy. And so he has been getting, some of the coach speak I've seen has been positive on Phil Maffa, but yeah, it's one where I think we should just be sprinkling in pretty much all the guys. I just haven't been sprinkling in Javonte. Oh man. I guess I'll take Justin Jefferson here. Sure. It's a little concerning, this hamstring stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I do not love it. But we don't want to play like a coward. If we get Jefferson at 6, and he's fully healthy, by a week and a half from now, it's going to be pretty nice getting this dip, and we're going to be able to get some kind of unique combo. I'm probably not going to take reach for anybody here. Like I'm probably just going to scoop the value in these first couple rounds to try to get some kind of unique combination. Huham says feel Maffa. Dirty P pads go on, Maffa gets buzz. Well, yeah, I mean, he seems like the opposite of a guy who's going to look good in shorts. He feels like a guy who's going to look good when he's like even bigger than before. I did bury the lead here. We are in a room with Steve here. He gets Malik Neighbors at 10. Let's see what comes around for him. Be interesting to see if he gets the chance to do Neighbors Genty. He does not. Genty goes at 14. So let's see what Steve does here. He winds the clock and he takes A-Chain. Very interesting. I like A-Chain a lot. I think these early picks, there's usually nothing too out of the ordinary there. Wow, Chase Brown at 17. That seems pretty early, but you know what? We all do what we got to do. And all right, we'll take AJ Brown. So we'll get a little bit of a falling, a little bit of ADP value, a couple of guys with some hopefully minor injuries. And so Jefferson Brown, that's not going to be the most common pairing. I'm not going to say it's any kind of like rare pairing where I don't want to drop the baby. I mean, you never want to drop a baby, but this may not be a baby. This could be like a cat, and they're usually okay if you drop them. They're pretty good at landing on their feet. But anyway, let's see. Dirty P says he's not going to juke anyone. Maffa, well, he could juke me. Well, fortunately, Dirty P, I don't believe you are responsible for tackling Phil Maffa there. So I think it's okay. But yeah, I don't envy those who that is what they have to do for a living. That seems like a tough way to make a go of it. The one hole there, he stacks Chase and Higgins. This guy here who took Chase Brown at 17, we'll see if he's the defender of BBM. Otherwise, he could. This guy could attempt the great Joe Burrow push. We'll see what they do. All right, coming back to us. Interesting choice, because if McBride and Wilson go, I have to decide, do I want to take Allen or Lamar? Because I could potentially take Jalen Hurts to stack with AJ Brown. I think I would rather do that as much as I do like Allen and Lamar. Lamar goes there. So do we want Garrett Wilson or do we want Omarion Hampton? Interesting question here. I think I'm going to just keep scooping ADP value. I love me some Garrett Wilson. I do not care that people think that Justin Fields can't pass. That's not my problem. I love me some Garrett Wilson there, and I'm going to keep taking him. And with Mason Taylor getting hurt, that's just more targets for Garrett Wilson. He might eclipse 90% target share. Huaim says Savion getting small praise. I is happy. Savion and Turpin, my boys. Yeah, Huaim, those are some fun late round clicks. I do like both of them. Yes, and who knows, man? With the backup running back situation in Green Bay, I feel like there's been a couple injuries. Lloyd, I think it's Wilson. Wilson, I think, had been getting some positive buzz, but now I can't remember if he got hurt too. Savion Williams might sneakily get some running back work. So and he's apparently a good receiver. So I like the Savion call. Huaim says Pony personnel going to change the game. They both fit that mold. Yeah, I mean, we could be watching one of those sort of changing of the meta in the NFL where you get those, lining up a receiver in the backfield and it being extremely difficult for the defense to guard against. It's definitely, it's definitely interesting to sort of tit for tat you see between the defenses and the offenses, and the league, something really works well, and then the defense, the defensive coaches adapt to it, and then it seems like the defenses have the upper hand, and then something new comes along. And yeah, I think you could be right. I mean, we could be seeing players like Savion and Turpin and Mims, those kind of guys that can just be really, really problematic as far as playing out of the backfield, and traditional defenses are going to struggle to stop what they're trying to do. So I would really like a running back, but unfortunately, here at pick 43, it's pretty grim. It's pretty grim. I could take Jalen Hurts here, but it feels a little like capitulation. I like George Pickens. God knows I have enough Jameson Williams, but you know what? We could always take more Jameson Williams. We could always take more. And you know what? We'll try to push Hurts around the corner, but this is probably not going to work. It's probably not going to work, but you never know. All right, let's see what the room is doing. Let's see what our friend Steve is doing. So he's got Neighbors, A-Chain, Mike Evans, and Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, a little bit of a fall there for Williams, so that's kind of nice. Just got extended. Seems like he is simply not going anywhere as much as the Blake Corum community would like for that to happen. Nice fall here for Jaden Daniels at 45. Maybe an argument I could have taken him there, but again, we're gonna just keep on playing our game here. We're going to go full piss boy, the only piss boy left in the room. I will say, spoilers, I'm not going to take another receiver. I just do not like taking 5 receivers with my first 5 picks. Could be bad, but, all right. Let's see. Huame says, Arthur Smith has tried it for years, but only using tight ends instead of people with actual skill. Yeah, that sounds like Arthur Smith. It's like, he's kind of onto something, but then has like no idea how to actually do it. Dirty P says, that's the Fannin thesis, running pass catchers out of the backfield to exploit linebackers. Well, I just, it's also the Cleveland Browns, man. Like, I want to say that they're going to be some innovative and exciting team with their duck-footed tight end, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Steve says it did not feel good about taking Kyren there. Yeah, I don't take much Kyren, but I probably would have taken him there at 39. Especially with look, nobody took another running back until James Cook, 10 picks later. All right, let's see what is coming up to us. We definitely need a running back here. I think I would prefer Ken Walker, but if I have to take Chuba Hubbard, I will. So let's take Ken Walker. Let's take Ken Walker. Don't mind him as a running back 1. He fell a little because he was injured, and apparently he's back at practice. So wheels up for Ken Walker. Huame says, that's how I read it too, in response to the Fannin thesis. Huame says, adding Fannin in elite tight end rooms if I have a free pick. Man, you guys are going to win me over with this Fannin stuff, I've got to say. All right, Steve says, yeah, Dirty P and Huame, I said that earlier in my show with Andrew, if the Browns want their 4 best catchers on the field, they've got to have Fannin out there with Njoku, Tillman, and Judy. Yeah, that makes sense. And especially because their running game is going to suck. They might be one of those teams that has to kind of use the pass as an extension of the run. So I definitely could see them doing that. I go back to the fact that it's the Browns, and I feel like they're just not going to be good at whatever they're trying to do. Huame says, I hadn't made it yet when you said that. What could go wrong? Well, you know what? I will start taking some Fannin. As you saw, I am easily swayed. By the way, let's put a bow on this. Tack attack here. Pick 59. Had to take Joe Burrow. He just had to do it. And he's got like reasonable quarterbacks he could have taken. I mean, I'm not saying at pick 59, but this is not a guy who was like, oh, I need to backstack somebody. No. And he couldn't wait for it to go around the corner. So, you know what? We all have our vices, and I suppose for pack attack, it was the unstacked Joe Burrow at pick 59. Steve says, now can we trust the coaches to do it? And that's the real trick. That's the real trick is sometimes us sweaty fantasy nerds can just so clearly see what should happen. And then these mouth-breathing coaches like do everything but that. It's really, really remarkable stuff here. All right, Olave goes. Debo would be nice, but there's just no ADP value in this room. If only I had taken Daniels, I could have had a nice Daniels Debo selection. Instead, we have to take DeAndre Swift, who I am just not excited to take, but I ideologically can't take Pacheco in the 60s when he was going in the 90s when this contest opened. It's just so hard for me to do that. So we'll take Swift. We'll hope that that he's actually not giga ass on this team. Huame says, if Stafford is really hurt, Kyren might be a better pick, and Steve agrees as to part of the Kyren thesis. It's very interesting because depending on who you talk to, it feels like it's either without Stafford, the offense is going to be bad, ergo Kyren's going to have less, good opportunities, or people say, well, Jimmy G's the quarterback, they're going to have to lean into the running game a lot, so it's like Kyren's going to get absolutely fed. And I think I agree with that, only because Kyren is so volume dependent that anything that helps bolster that is probably good. So I think that's the camp I fall in, but I certainly do understand the argument that it's going to be bad if the whole offense is just like kind of mediocre. So I tried to add Pacheco to my queue, and he disappeared. I think I'll take Tony Pollard here. Jaden Reed would be fine, but I think I would rather just take another running back when I started 4 receivers. So for the audio listeners, we've got a 0-3-4-0. We've got Ken Walker, DeAndre Swift, and Tony Pollard, and a wide receiver room of Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Jameson Williams here. So don't mind the team. Feel like it's coming together well enough so far. We'll keep on trucking. Let's see what our friends are doing. So Steve, he started with Neighbors, A-Chain, Mike Evans, Kyron, and then added Rome Odunze, Caleb Johnson, and now Jaden Higgins to his team. So pretty strong team there from Steve over there in the 10 hole. All right, Huham says, hearing DJ Moore taking running back snaps, happy to fade Swift harder. Yeah, Huham's, I haven't heard like great stuff about Swift this offseason. I'm going to be honest. Don't love it. Do not love the Swift bet, but I don't want absolutely none, because I do see a world where it's like, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of growing pains with Caleb, but he is going to be the RB1 he is the RB1 in Chicago. Assuming he is the RB1, then fading that could feel kind of bad. But yeah, I don't love it. I do see a world where it's just a pure committee, and he's the RB1 in name only, and that would be unfortunate. So Steve gets Baker, so he gets the Baker Evans stack there. Pretty nice there for Steve. Let's see what's coming back to us. Hawkinson would be a nice pick because we do have Jefferson. Mason would be a nice pick for the same reason. I think I'd rather have Mason. If Mason goes, then I would take Hawkinson here. Mason was not used as a pass catcher in San Francisco, but I did hear stuff that they were trying to scheme him some passing in Minnesota. I did hear that they were kind of working on that, and it was more of a scheme thing than a ability thing. So I'm willing to see the vision that Mason might not be a total zero in the passing game, but you know what? Even if he is, he still was a guy we were taking at the 101 in BRs when CMC got hurt. He absolutely can be a monster on the ground. So we'll take him behind that good O-line and an offense we're happy about. And of course, he is week 17 with JMO. So we've got a little bet on that game, and it makes McCarthy that much more appetizing there. Huames will be at 3 to 4%. I think that's roughly where I want to be. I think I want to be probably, if I'm picking nits, at a 5%. I don't necessarily need to be totally at market, but I don't want zero of that roll, but could be bad. I mean, it really could just be like Roshan and Manungai. Who else maxing MMG? Oh, the is that other? You know what, Huames? I haven't done any of those yet. I haven't had time, as you can imagine by the fact that I'm streaming at 11:30. I've not drafted much. The only drafts I've done really are these stream drafts and the couple Badge Bros brawls, because I have wanted to max that. But I would have definitely taken Justin Fields there. That is a little bit unfortunate for me. I don't have any reason to take Knicks. I don't need another quarterback. I don't want Ayuk. I think we just take our guy. I think we just take Scatabo and say we are maybe we back off at running back and we take our guy. So we have a 0-5-4-0. I know I took Scatabo ahead of Tracy, but I am still going to live in that world where that's a thing. I think in my head I thought I had a tight end, so I probably should have taken Mark Andrews there, but I got excited when I saw Scatabo on the board, and I took him took him. You cannot stop me from taking the my scatterbags. I guess, again, his ADP is now down to 110, so picking him at 102 could be bad, but you know what? It's my team, and I'm going to do what I want here. And that includes taking Cam Scatterbo ahead of ADP there. Let's look at the quarterback situation. JJ McCarthy probably be the pick with the next with our next selection, assuming that comes around. We might open the door for some backstacking possibilities, because it looks like we're probably not going to get Goff all the way back around, and Goff may not even come around the turn here, because the Amon-Ra drafter, the Naked Joe Burrow drafter, let's see if he takes Goff here at 110. I'm a luck sack taking 3 quarterbacks. My goodness gracious me. So quarterback might get a little light quickly here in this room, depending on how things shake out. So this pack attack guy takes Caleb. Does he even have a... This guy doesn't even have a bear. This guy doesn't have a bear. He has Amon-Ra, and Goff was there. So, you know what? He takes Unstacked Burrow. Hey, people can do what they want. So Steve goes 2 strong tight ends there. He takes Mark Andrews and Jalen Warren. Nice there. That gives him some optionality if he wants to end at 2 tight ends. I think that would be perfectly reasonable. I do think I'll take McCarthy ahead of Goff. The Addison drafter is usually the guy you have to worry about. Where is Addison? Addison, I think he's been falling a little bit with the suspension. So he's over there on the left to a guy who has no quarterback. So we'll just take McCarthy here. I think I would rather have McCarthy and Jefferson than Goff with my 4th receiver. We certainly are going to need to start adding some receivers again, but we started the team with Jefferson, Brown, Wilson, and JMO. So we really are kind of, making our bet that 3 out of 4 of these guys are going to hit our lineup each week. And we do want to draft like we're, I know Pete was making fun of the draft like you're right crowd on the Swolecast. And I certainly think that can be kind of stupid advice, but if these are my wide receivers, I was willing to just take a string of running backs to try to make that up. Steve wanted Caleb, not loving that, thought he could push Caleb. Yeah, I would have thought with a normal drafter you could, but the Naked Burrow guy, in retrospect, if anyone was going to do it, then it'd be him. Slot Demon would be nice here. Colston Loveland would be nice. This team probably needs Loveland more. I have a feeling this guy's going to take Kirk, and now I'm going to be in a weird position. He doesn't. He takes Jaden Blue. So let's take Slot Demon here and add him as a. I kind of like him as a 5th receiver. So we've got a 1-5-5-0. We've got JJ McCarthy, Ken Walker, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, Cam Scatterbo, and then Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, and Christian Kirk there. Hey, Skeletor, thanks so much for coming in. GN. I really appreciate your support and popping in this evening. Who Aims asked, Steve, do you do DK chain movers? Who Aims, that's a solid tournament. I believe that's the $10 DraftKings tournament. That's a $10 6 max, if I'm not mistaken. I like that tournament a lot. It can take a little bit to fill, but maybe now that we're into August, they're filling faster. But DraftKings has some really good contests. DraftKings has done a really good job making stuff available to us. So I do like playing over there. Right, let's see. We're 6 picks away. Buy Shell Tootin goes. Our friend Steve, after he took Andrews, he added Andrews and Warren. He added Ramondre. Let's see who he takes as well as the board comes swinging by to us. Pack Attack, our friend, our sniper in chief, who took Caleb for no reason at all. So Steve takes Stroud, which makes sense because he has Jaden Higgins. I would have taken Stroud there to pair with Kirk, but that's fine. I did not particularly need that too much. Thinking about another quarterback I could add. Don't really have an obvious stacking partner with any of these guys, so again, this could be another back stacking situation here. Ray Davis goes. I will, however, just take Tank Bigsby here and end with 6 running backs here. So we'll lock that up. Kind of like this running back room where we really hammered the mid tier with Walker, Swift, Pollard, Mason, Scatabo, and Bigsby. Got to feel like we'll get some production. Might be a little back weighted with Scatabo, but again, I'm willing to roll the dice there. The only issue with locking up running back this early is I am forfeiting the chance to take some of the exciting, Taj Brooks, Brashard Smiths, Monongai, Krusky Merritt types. I don't really get to take those, but again, I don't want every draft to have the same texture, so I do like mixing in drafts like that where my late round picks are going to be other positions than running back. So what this team will need is a quarterback, and I think the quarterback that makes the most sense is Cam Ward. We do have Tony Pollard on the team. There are a couple guys we can stack with Cam Ward late. I really did like the Restrepo story, but it does sound like, I think they were saying he's like the wide receiver 8 right now or something, and he's like way down in the depth chart, but he is also like Cam Ward's best friend. So we'll see. I do want Restrepo to make the team, but I don't know if he's a guy that I'm going to click in BBMs. He might be more of a round 20 DraftKings guy than a round 18 guy here. Michael Penix, this is a nice fall for him, but I don't have any Atlanta pieces, and they're kind of wonky to backstack. So let's take Cam Ward. He has some rushing upside, and we've got Tony Pollard, so we can tell ourselves a nice story with that. Again, with apologies to the Ridley drafter who was right after me, although they already had 2 quarterbacks, so I'm not going to shed a tear for them. All right. Steve says, I think the draft like you're right mantra gets overblown. It's like you still have to base it on actual facts and data. Don't say I think Jackson Dart is going to stay 17 games when nothing points to that. Yeah. No, exactly. Like, you can justify a lot of really bad stuff with draft like you're right. But I think it is good. I think if you take draft like you're right to mean, if you take 6 receivers through 10 rounds, maybe don't take a 7th. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's like a draft capital mantra more than a like, oh, I can take Restrepo because I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 by the end of the season. You could do a lot of dumb stuff with draft like you're right. But again, I think of it more of, say, a draft capital kind of thing. We don't have any tight ends on this team, which feels not great. I'm going to be honest. And it's starting to get a little thin in the tight end department here. We also going to need another quarterback. So we've got some holes. We've got some holes to plug on this team, and we'll see if we can plug those holes. Isaiah Likely, it's tempting. It's tempting because if we can bridge to when he comes in, that's kind of nice. But the only issue is, like, even when he plays, can be second banana, and he has weeks where he doesn't really do much of anything. Don't know if any of these receivers are really necessary. I think I will take Geno if he's here. I think we just take Geno Smith, and again, we're just gonna have to take a bunch of tight ends and see what the room it gives to us. All right, Who Aim says draft like you're right, more about capital. Yep, exactly. Steve said, but people take it to apply to every single take. Yes. I think the advice gets sorely misused, and that's the real issue there. But that was a funny segment on the Swolecast. All right, let's see. Steve, who did you take with your last pick? You took Tua. Okay, So you got Tua and A-Chain. I don't think you got another receiver, but that's fine. I like Tua and A-Chain if you're looking for a backdoor stack. I wasn't sure if you were going to take a Colt quarterback. I forget where you stand on the A-Rich Daniels thing. I think you were team A-Rich, but I don't want to I don't want to say that if that's not the case there. Did I lose out? Is Jack Betch? Oh man, I haven't taken Jack Betch in a long time. Yeah, Dante Thornton went. You know what? We're gonna believe in something, people. We're gonna believe in Jack Betch. Could be bad, but you know what? If we're gonna talk about guys that were going early in BBMs, Jack Betch is sort of the poster child for that, and it does give me someone to stack with Geno Smith. And honestly, we are very early season weighted with a very veteran running back room. So I don't mind if I'm going to take a guy like Betch on this particular build, a guy that really might require, a potential injury or, some kind of reconfiguring of the pecking order in Las Vegas to catch on. But you know what? I'll trust that they, second round pick apparently has been looking a little better in some of these practices. And, again, we're week 17. If we're going to be week 17, it's all that matters. Let's take a guy who could actually be meaningful late in this season. Steve says, by the way, the $7 tutties on DK is a strong contest. Yes. I think I have a total of like 10 of them, but I didn't max like one of them because they were all like the Tutty 4 would fire. You'd join the Tutty 1, you'd be waiting for 12, like the Tutty 2 waiting for 6, and then the Tutty 4 would fire. Like I was just joining the rooms that were close to filling. So I did like that one. Again, DK really some nice offerings in the low dollar contest. Steve was on Team Jones. I'm taking A-Rich a little, but not a huge fan. Yeah, I was taking A-Rich in like the big board. And then I was taking him kind of early in post-draft stuff, but I backed off. Now I'm taking like neither, which seems bad. I do take A-Rich every now and then, but he gets a little expensive. Definitely gets a little bit expensive. Oh my God, Chig goes. Chig is who I wanted to stack with Ward. Man, Cade Otton, tight end 1. Yeesh. Yes, I'm gonna be scared of Noah Fant taking like Gesicki's lunch. And it says Cade Otton's not practicing. This tight end room is gonna be disgusting. I really thought I could get Chig at 187 to pair with Cam Ward, but alas, this guy over there, Bob Cons 8, just had to ruin my day. But you know what? That's game we play. Steve got Jonnu. If I hadn't have taken Betch, I probably should have taken Jonnu. I think that would have been a better click in retrospect for me. So you know what? We'll see. I mean, Jonnu at pick 183 to me is kind of wild. He is going to see work there in Pittsburgh, and I'm not just talking the full, lining him up in the backfield. I think he's kind of a smash, and I probably do regret taking Betch there, because he could have come back to me. People are really out on Jack Betch. All right. Let's see. Tight end is pretty disgusting here. I'll queue up Juwan Johnson. Because I do think he's going to be playing, and I want some early season production. I think that makes the most sense here. Hopefully he does not go. He does not. So at least we get somebody who I think is going to be playing football. We could take Harold Fannin and just pray for upside. I don't hate that. I could take Pat Freiermuth. I think he's going to be, a guy that we should be drafting. But man, this is the Achilles heel of this team that I did like, and I think this team would feel a lot better if I had Jonnu on it. versus Cade Otton, tight end 1. That's a very thin bet there. All right. Steve didn't mean to take Jonnu there. Well, you know what? The next 2 guys after you took tight ends, so there was no way Jonnu was coming back to me. So Huhames hates the term tutty, so he refuses. I mean, you gotta stand for something, Huhames. So I hear you. Also, it's been an hour and 10 minutes. If you have not liked and subscribed, I would really appreciate it. It helps keeps the lights on, even if these are low lights at 11:45 here. All right, Steve takes TJ Giddens, some nice contingent upside rookie there. And let's see what Steve finishes his team with. He thinks about it and takes A.D. Mitchell. So he's got everything but the quarterback there in Indy. All right. Let's see, what tight ends do we want? Boy, this is tough. You know what, guys? Maybe we'll do it. Maybe this is a Harold Fannin team, because we are desperately behind at tight end, and we'll take a swing for the fences, because we need something. We need something when it's Cade Otton and Juwan Johnson. So I'll take Harold Fannin for the second draft in a row. We'll double our exposure to him. But I liked this team, but I don't think I landed the plane. Going over it, it's another 3-6-6-3. We got J.J. McCarthy, Cam Ward, and Geno Smith. Running back room of Ken Walker, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, Cam Scatterbo, and Tank Bigsby. Wide receiver room of Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Christian Kirk, and Jack Betch. And a tight end room of Cade Otton, Juwan Johnson, and Harold Fannin. So, yeah, again, I wish my tight end room was a little better, but I like the way I built otherwise. I have to say that. So, you know what? Again, kind of a 0 tight end team. We'll see what happens. Steve says, great stream and draft. Good luck. Hey, Steve, as always, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for drafting with me. It is way more fun to draft with friends here. So really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much for coming by. Huhames, Steve, really appreciate hanging out with you all this evening. And yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.